Welcome to Jordan Sports Talk, March Madness edition. This is your boy Jordan here. Guys, personally, this is my favorite time of the year where just anything can happen on any given day, full of upsets, Cinderella stories, big time underdogs. This is where dreams come true. This is where legends are made. I'm just personally excited for this big moment. Um, the first round and second round tournaments are literally up there for my favorite time of the year. I make sure I get off work early so I can enjoy 13 to 14 hours of basketball. I mean, who doesn't like that? You stuff your face full of cold beers, full of pizza, full of wings. That's just the way to do it, guys. I appreciate coming along. I just want to say thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. And if you're a first time viewer, subscribe to YouTube to Jordan Burnett. Again, guys, much appreciated. I appreciate all the support, all the feedback. We've come a long way. This is episode 3, so we're just a step ahead. So I just want to tell you guys I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for you guys thinking about me and showing me around. I mean, I'm this doesn't happen if it weren't for you guys. So let's put the show on the road. It's a long night. It's already 11:15, so I want to wrap this up. The first 4 is all taken care of. So the winners were Farley Dickinson, Belmont, North Dakota State, and Arizona State. Now, just in case you didn't hear my prediction last time, my boy Derek asked me who my Final Four was. So I double checked the bracket and I was off. So my Final Four is Duke, Michigan, North Carolina. Who was my other one? And Villanova. Villanova is my Final Four team, not Kentucky. So just wanted to clarify that. There's going to be a lot of excitement here. Let's get this started. All right. From Joshua. Who is your lowest possible Cinderella story this year? Well, Joshua, I'm going to be quite honest. I think this is going to be a different year when it comes to Cinderella stories. As you saw last year, Loyola, Illinois that was a shocker. I mean, they came out of nowhere, won their conference. They were the number 11 seed, and 3 of their 4 games they won on the last play of the game. So I got 3 teams down that can possibly make this deep run that we're talking about here. In my personal opinion, of course. I was very impressed by Belmont last night. I understand they got off to a slow start, but they are very deep. Their 3-point shooting can get them a long ways. They were one of the nation's best team from deep. I think they got a nice draw. I mean, they draw Maryland, and then they can get the winner of LSU and Yale. I mean, LSU has just been, with the investigation with their head coach. I think they're in a very nice spot to go to the Sweet 16, and Michigan State's not exactly healthy either, so I think that's very possible. I like Oregon. Oregon's another team. I had Oregon in my bracket in the Sweet 16. I think they're red hot right now. They dominated the Conference of Champions, as my boy Bill Walton says. They start off with Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's a slow-tempo team, so I think they can go out there, and if they punch them in the mouth, Wisconsin's going to be in deep trouble. And Oregon's also got the winner of Kansas State, UC Irvine. And honestly, I don't remember Kansas State's best player, but he was out with an injury last year in last year's NCAA tournament, so that might backfire on them. And then let's not forget, Virginia is not the most reliable team when it comes to the NCAA tournament, so that's another team that could make a nice run. And I also like Murray State. Murray State could be in there. I mean, there's just so many options. Murray State's got a high offensive team, but Joshua, I'll give you one answer. I just wrote down a couple just to see, what could possibly happen. And I'm sorry, one more we'll go with it. And Wofford's very deep and full of experience. So, Joshua, my best answer is going to be Belmont. I was very impressed with them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 this year. I think this is a good year where we can have, 2 or 3 double-digit seeds make a nice run. That's an awesome question. Joshua, again, who do you think will be the lowest seed to beat a 5 seed or higher? There are a lot of options this year. So, like I said, I like Oregon. Oregon, I think, is going to make the Sweet 16. I think they're red hot. Murray State's got a great chance to beat Marquette, and I we'll see how that goes in the second round. But Murray State's got a chance. Liberty's another deep team. They are averaging over 85 points a game. They have a high-powered offense, and Mississippi State kind of slacked towards the end, so that's not impossible. You know what? Bigger shock here is I would not be surprised if Yale beats LSU with all the distractions going on in LSU. I think it's very unfortunate for them because they've been a huge surprise this year, and they haven't made the tournament in quite a while. So for them to get the number 3 seed and win the SEC regular season is really impressive. But I think it's just unfortunate the way their season could end. And Yale's smart enough to punch them in the mouth. So I think that's very possible, and I could see Yale knocking them off. Honestly, Joshua, I think you're going to see at least Murray State and Oregon win their games. I hope we see more. I'd like to see another 16-1 or 15-2. So we'll see what happens. Great question. All right, from Tyler, how far does Oregon go? Well, that's been the story of the show so far. We've been talking about Oregon. I think Oregon is hot. They dominated the Conference of Champions. I like a hot team to go into the NCAA tournament because they just continue to build off that momentum. Michigan was a prime example last season. We can go back as far as 2011. The UConn team that was the 9th seed in the Big East Conference won their tournament, and they went on to win the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, there's teams that come off winning their conference tournaments and they just make deep runs. And I just don't think the Pac-12 gets enough respect. I've always believed that, and I think they just had a bad non-conference go-to. I think it's a decent conference. I think Oregon's gonna carry the Pac-12. I think Arizona State was very sloppy today, and I think Washington kind of got snubbed with their seeding. But honestly, it is what it is. Steven, what could possibly be better than a Duke North Carolina final? That was my prediction for the final in my bracket this year. That was one of them, at least. That was my number one prediction. But easily best rivalry in basketball. It's just when these two go at it, it's fun. Even the fan bases just go at it. It's honestly, I think it's hilarious. Even when they don't play each other, they hate each other. But you gotta admit, gotta respect each other. There's just so much class, so much history. It's not like they're out fighting and punching each other in the mouth. I mean, it's just a war. I mean, it's gritty and nobody ever quits in those games. Okay. Excuse me. Joshua, I wrote 3 different scenarios down that could be better. One is Michigan State. I think that's just been unbelievable this year. I think there is a possibility that they can meet in the Final Four. So I know that's not a final, but I think that would be a terrific matchup. All right, now we're going to go to the finals. When I wrote that down, I realized that could be a Final Four. Duke, Kentucky. Duke, Kentucky has gone way back as far as Christian Laettner making that game-winning shot. I think ever since then, to the top-tier programs, all they do is win. All they do is win, and they recruit the best possible talent in the world, and history repeats itself, and that's why all these studs and young stars just go in and dominate and get ready for the pros. I think it's great. Final one is North Carolina, Michigan. Going back to the Fab Five days, I think that would also be a interesting storyline. North Carolina is very in-depth this year. I still have a hard time trusting them, but I think they can get over it this year with Roy Williams. It's going to depend on their free throw shooting. They are one of the worst in basketball. So if they can get over the hump, I think that them in Michigan would be very fun to watch. But honestly, honestly, Steven, I don't think there's anything better than a Duke North Carolina final. I am pulling for a Duke North Carolina final. I think they're both ready. They could do it. I think the tough part's going to be getting through the first weekend. If they can do that, I believe it can happen. So I love that question. Terrific question. This is my favorite one. Sorry, guys, no disrespect. From Brian, your top 5 greatest college basketball players. And where does Zion rank? Okay, Zion's not even in my top five, and Zion's not even in my top 10. I think Zion is going to be special, but I might be exaggerating. He could be top 10 in my eyes, but I think you need more years, and I'm going to sound very hypocritical by my number four pick. So just giving you guys a heads up. All right. So what do we got here? Okay, my top five college basketball players. Number five is the head mind game master himself, Christian Laettner. Known for the big shot against Kentucky in 1992. He was also the 1992 Player of the Year. He is a two-time champion, and over his 4-year career, he averaged 16.6 and 7.8 boards. Christian Laettner was one of those guys, the older he got, the more aggressive he got. And I don't know if you know his story, but he was that big bully in practice that was pushing guys like Bobby Hurley around so he can bring the best of them. That kind of style, I'm not sure would work today because of how how people react. It's a different era, different mindset. But I kind of like that. I like that old school mindset. I mean, my dad was like that with me. Like he was the bully, and he'd push me around until I'd become my very best. And it's worked out in everything I've done in my life. Christian Laettner, I think, is submitted in the top five because just of who he is and what he did at Duke and what he brought to the program. So, no doubt, Christian Laettner. This one's gonna blow your mind. Okay, I think if this guy played 4 years, I think he'd be right up there. Number four is Anthony Davis. Oh, I know, Anthony Davis. He's really progressed in the pros, but I'll give you some fun facts on Anthony Davis. This was when he was 19. He was SEC Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. He was the National Player of the Year, National Champion. He averaged 14 points, 10.4 boards, 4.7 blocks in under 30 minutes. He shot 62%. Okay, I understand. John Calipari's a guy who is known for bringing in guys that are one and done, and that he's been doing that for over 10 years, and it's worked out. I mean, when you look at the NBA today, you're seeing guys from Kentucky, you're seeing guys from Duke, you're seeing guys from North Carolina, you're seeing guys from the Big Ten like Wisconsin and Michigan State. I think this was one of his true mold of talent when it comes to Anthony Davis. I think if he decided to play 4 years, I can imagine how much of a monster he could have been. Can you imagine him and Karl Anthony Towns together, Devin Booker, and Anthony Harrison? I just think that by itself, that dominating run they had in 2012 was something special, and I think he was a very big part of it. And that by itself, for me, puts him up there. I think he was just something special, and he is a terrific leader. And I can't wait to see the second half of Anthony Davis's career. You know me, I'm very salty as a Charlotte Hornets fan. We could have got him in the lottery, but I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's doing so well. So I'm going to get some question marks about that one, but that's just my opinion. I think he's one of the all-time greats. All right, we're going to get to the good stuff here, Brian. Number three is Bill Walton, the conference champion master himself. Bill Walton played all 4 years under John Wooden. My opinion, I don't care what you guys say with the era changes and stuff like that, to win 88 straight games and I think he won 11 straight national championships. That is absurd. I understand the athleticism is different these days, but to have that mindset as a head coach, to not just focus on winning, but to focus on bettering others' lives, making sure they finish school, making sure they stay out of trouble, make sure they do great at what they do. And that's what John Wooden was all about. And his pyramid of success even hit me. So let's get back to Bill Walton here. So he played 87 games. He averaged 20.3, 15.7 boards. He shot over 65% from the field. He was a two-time champion. He was a two-time Wooden Award winner. And he was a three-time first-team All-American. Bill Walton even succeeded in the pros. I mean, John Wooden, I'm going to have to look up how many guys he molded to become terrific professionals. Bill Walton, no doubt, was one of the best, and I can watch highlights of him all day. I just appreciate stuff like that. All right, number two, Pete Maravich. Uh, Pete Maravich was a guard in the 1960s. Pete Maravich averaged 44.2 points a game with no 3-point line. Now, this is like guys that, today are just spot up shoot. They interfere. Okay, Pete Maravich is averaging 44.2 points a game. He is a Naismith winner. He is a 3-time first-team All-American. Pete Maravich was just something. I think he was over 90% from the free throw line too. He had a granny shot, which you don't see today. I think if you're struggling from the free throw line, I think that's absolutely terrific. And that by itself automatically puts you in the all-time list. Kind of shook up from the interruption, but that's okay. He's my dad. Love him. Number 1, Lou Alcindor. If you don't know who that is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is my GOAT. He is the greatest of all time, not LeBron James. He's even the GOAT in college basketball. That's how great he is. Lou Alcindor might be the most accomplished athlete we've ever seen. He only played 3 seasons in college basketball. Lou Alcindor averaged 26.5 points a game, 15.5 boards. He shot over 64% from the field. He was a first-team All-American 3 times. He was a 2-time Sporting News Player of the Year. He was a 2-time AP Player of the Year. And he was also a 3-time champion under John Wooden. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar ended up being a top scorer of all time. He ended up being an NBA champion. And he did okay in the NBA. So I think to be a GOAT in the NBA and a GOAT in college basketball is unbelievable to me. I wish I was around to see him play. I think that would have been amazing. He could have probably taught me a few things and taught us generational fans some things because, unfortunately, I'm about to rant here. There are people that actually believe LeBron James is the best when they haven't seen guys like Lou Alcindor play. I just think you got to open your eyes and watch the past and watch the tape. So Lou Alcindor is easily to go for me. All right, down to our final question. Non-college basketball related, but since I love this kid, I'm going to let him slide with this one. Javon, who do you got in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals? So my predictions are, I got the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I believe the Boston Celtics win in 7. I think the Boston Celtics are very deep. I think as much drama as they've been going through, I think they are very in-depth, and I think they're very tough to beat in a 7-game series. I think for Philadelphia, this could be their shot to go all in. They picked up Jimmy Butler. They picked up Tobias Harris. They got Bogan off the bench. I think this is a good opportunity for them to see what happens. And the best thing you can do is trust the process. And for the Western Conference Finals, the Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets. I think we see a rematch. As much as I love we call it Cinderella, the Cinderella story of the Denver Nuggets, the Houston Rockets will beat them in a 7-game series in the second round. I don't know if anybody beats Golden State in a 7-game series. They got 3 of the best shooters possibly of all time in Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson. They have one of the best centers who's coming off an Achilles tear in DeMarcus Cousins. They got one of the best defenders in Draymond Green, and they have a pretty good bench. The Rockets have James Harden, who is going to be up there for MVP. They have one of the, I think, top 10 all-time in point guards, Chris Paul. He's a double-double machine. He just makes everybody around him better. And the guy young and upcoming starting Clint Capella. So we're going to see what happens. Clint Capella is just going to be a young and upcoming guy. And I think that's great. So look at this, guys. We ended up getting a full episode in today. And I just want to say I appreciate the questions. Episode 4 will be released this Sunday. And if you're wondering how to do that, subscribe on YouTube to Jordan Burdett. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors if you want. I could use a co host because I know we all have different opinions. I am looking forward to the best time of the year. This is just great. I just love talking basketball these first couple weeks and find out who our winner's going to be. Duke. Duke's going to win it. Guys, keep it tight.